Broken roads, take me home to the story-rich, post-apocalyptic, Australian outback-themed RPG. Those are the words, right? It's time to grab your moral compass and probably your regular compass as we discuss what direction this game is traveling and how it gets a bit lost along the way. But before we venture to the land down under where women glow and men plunder, you better run, you better take cover over at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames to become a part of one of the coolest indie gaming communities on the planet. Join for free to follow along or check out our various pledge tiers to net yourself Discord access, early and ad-free content, an exclusive podcast, and even free games at some levels. Your community is waiting for you. Broken Roads was originally supposed to release last year, but at long last you are now able to get your hands on this narrative-heavy adventure through the Outback. Set in post-apocalyptic Australia in the aftermath of atomic warfare, 80% of Australia's population is decimated when bombs are dropped. Those that lived to tell the tale have to earn the title of survivor, rebuilding and forming new alliances and factions amidst all of the rubble and radiation. But as you might expect, with new alliances comes new conflicts, and you find yourself smack dab in the middle of some pretty big ones. Diving into Broken Roads, you'll first choose a class from 4 options: hired gun, surveyor, barter crew, or jackaroo. Each class has bonus attributes and starting skills that will benefit you during gameplay. You are able to change the appearance of your avatar, but the options are limited to 8 preset builds, so don't get your hopes up too high. After this, it's on to a quick quiz to figure out your worldview. Are you more of a humanist, utilitarian, Machiavellian, or nihilist? This 6-question quiz will tell you, or at least for the sake of this game anyway. There is a golden arc, not to be mistaken with the fast food one, that shows you where on the moral compass your character falls, which often spans 2 different worldviews. As you make your decisions throughout gameplay, your golden arc will shift towards the viewpoint that most closely aligns with your choices. The bigger of a departure from your current worldview, the further the compass will shift. The compass also highlights moral tendencies, which can broaden your options for dialogue choices or attitudes that may normally be outside of character for your worldview. Because of this system, there's no correct answer to any moral conundrum, but let's just say your choices matter deeply. The last order of business in preparing for gameplay is assigning skill points and attribute points. You'll also be able to do this after gaining a level throughout gameplay, so this is a screen you'll return to quite frequently. And with all of that out of the way, you're off to the races, but I use the term races very loosely here. Your character uses a gentle saunter at best to traverse the map, directed by the click of your mouse. Hovering your mouse around the screen, you can also locate interactive objects and NPCs to communicate with. Many of these NPCs will have missions for you to complete, but not before they provide you with their entire life story. As a person with the words "talk to me" metaphorically tattooed on my forehead in real life, I feel for my character in this game. As much as I love listening to my friends and family tell me about their day, sometimes you just find yourself in a conversation with a completely random stranger about their childhood trauma. This brings me to my first complaint about Broken Roads: the pacing. Everything about this game, from the walking speed to the plot development, feels incredibly slow. So slow, in fact, that at a certain point, I didn't even want to complete the side quests any longer, just to prevent further wandering and long, rambling monologues about some random NPC's family tree. Of course, not completing a quest is foregoing the experience that it could provide, which is used to level up your character. So yes, you are forced, in at least some capacity, to be an extrovert in this game. Great. When you're not reading or wandering, you are collecting. Some of these items can be traded, others can be consumed, and others still can be equipped and used during combat. You also collect currency, which can be used to purchase additional helpful items from the game's many vendors. So many vendors, in fact, that I often couldn't remember which merchant sold which type of wares, and found myself having to visit all of them in a given destination over and over again to find the one item I needed to purchase to complete a quest. And yes, you did hear me correctly, there is combat in Broken Roads. As you fast travel from destination to destination along the map, you will occasionally be interrupted by a gang of hungry dingoes or a group of thieves, which you'll have to fight using some light turn-based combat. This combat style is pretty straightforward, with health bars appearing above each party member and an enemy in combat, a turn order at the top of the screen, and pretty standard forms of attack with the assortment of weapons you've collected or purchased, and items that can be consumed for healing and other benefits. Then there's magic. I fully understand that this is a complete work of fiction, but it feels like so much care went into creating set pieces and environments that feel authentically Australian, taking the time to explain Australian slang in the dialogue, giving the characters backstories, and basing things very much in the real world with atomic bombs and common weaponry. That's why it came as a total shock to me when my character could shoot lightning bolts out of their fingertips and set my head aglow. When men at work said women glow and men plunder, I simply cannot believe this is what they were referring to. It was a disconnect that ruined the immersion for me, unfortunately. The two worlds didn't mesh in a way that felt plausible in my mind. Taking a step back and taking a long, hard look at Broken Roads, it feels both busy and slow at the same time somehow. There's always a handful of quests and side quests to be completed at any given point, and you're going to have tons of conversations with lots of story points that go in all different directions, but the long-winded conversations and the wandering makes it feel like a chore. This is definitely not helped by that point-and-click control scheme to move your character, which often left me waiting for my character to catch up with me. Not a place you want to be. As far as the moral compass goes, I do really like the concept of it, but I feel like you as the player end up being skeptical of everyone's true motives and making decisions based on what you think will point your moral compass in the desired direction, rather than truly branching out and taking risks. The combat was too simple, and the magic skills didn't jive with the overall plot and feel of the game for me. I'll admit that the visuals in Broken Roads are really lovely, and they succeed in creating an environment that seems lived in and authentic. Darkened perimeters illuminate as you explore more of a location, though your exploration is still limited to how far your camera pans and how long it takes your character to walk there. Cutscenes have a hand-drawn appeal with sand-toned art that further illustrates the finer points of the story. There's some great use of shadows and wonderful attention to detail, which makes me believe we truly are traversing through a weathered post-apocalyptic Australia. The music and voice acting are also top-notch, though some of the sleepier tracks did act like melatonin when combined with the long-winded text walls. At the end of the day, Broken Roads has a good handle on the moral compass concept, though I do have to say this is not the first time I've seen something like this done. Broken Roads certainly does take things to the next level with the intricacies of the compass, however. The story didn't jive with me as much as I was hoping it would, most likely dampened by the overall pacing of the game. If you're looking for a lot of reading and really excited by the concept of your worldview dictating the choices available to your character, give it a go and see if the story tickles your fancy. For me, the mix of really heavy topics like suicide and atomic bombs paired with magic and NPCs spilling their guts to me every chance they get didn't make for a cohesive feeling narrative. I'm torn right down the middle on this bloomin' onion.